Venus is quite an interesting planet. It is the second planet from the Sun and the most toxic, unsurvivable wasteland known to man. This planet has an incredibly toxic volcanic surface and has a surface that's hot enough to burn even lead. The sulfur combined with all the toxic fumes makes the planet shine in the night sky. It has been seen throughout history that there's been no other object, aside from the Sun, shimmering in the morning sky, so many have referred to Venus as the morning star. It's also said that Venus is the goddess of love in Roman mythology, or Aphrodite in Greek mythology, representing a figure of absolute radiating beauty and femininity. But there is also another divine radiant figure that's also whispered about throughout history, but this figure represents pure and absolute malice and evil. Lucifer. You might be curious why I associated this with Venus, but you did read the title right. Anyway, if you're enjoying my narration, please like and subscribe. So, you might be curious who Lucy is. I'm sure if you've gone to a church any single day of your life, then you would know who this figure is. But to those of you who are new, or have been living under a rock for the past millennia, there's a description in the Bible about this fallen figure. And it goes in Isaiah 14, verse 12. How you have fallen from heaven, O shining one, son of dawn. How you have been cut down to the earth, you who vanquish nations. You said in your own heart, I will descend to the heavens. Above the stars of God, I will lift up my own throne. And I will sit down at the mountain of meeting, in the remotest parts of the heavens. I will go above to the tops of the clouds. I will make myself resemble the Most High. So, some of you might think I'm crazy, but seriously listen to this theory I've honestly cooked up in my head. If you guys have read Paradise Lost by John Milton and Dante's Inferno, you should understand a lot of the references I'm about to mention. The Lord, our God, created Earth, a perfect garden. Adam and Eve were creatures that were perfect in every single way, and completely ageless and immortal. Until they sinned against God and lost the original purpose that God had for them. You may be asking, what was the original purpose? That is, the original purpose that God had for humanity. To populate the earth along with the entire universe. Humans were supposed to fill the stars and every single planet that exists out there. Think about it. Think about just how large this universe is. Why it's so hard and rare to encounter life, and why humans have an unending craving to gain knowledge in every single thing in the universe. Why humans have an unending, unquenchable curiosity. Humans were originally supposed to have this purpose. We were supposed to be the aliens. Some of you might be calling me crazy. A lot of you may be thinking, why would we be ageless and deathless in the new world? I mean, wouldn't it get boring? And I say, absolutely not. Not even close. The amount of things we could even do would be endless in heaven. That is to fulfill the original plan that God had for us. God is still going to make humans complete his plan and fill the universe. Using this reasoning, it's possible to view Earth as a base world of sorts, and the rest of the universe fall under us. What if God isn't using the depths of the Earth to house fallen angels, but is using the planets? Editor's note, I noticed I said John Milton a lot when I meant Dante Alighieri in my recording for it, so please try to ignore that. So sorry about the confusion. What if the different levels in hell in John Milton's story? Is John Milton actually teleporting from planet to planet, seeing the different levels of hell? It's said that Greek mythology had a lot of influence on Milton, more than you even realize. In Greek and Roman mythology, the ancient religions based their gods off the characteristics of the planets, and for some reason, Milton seemed to use this idea to layer his different layers of hell. Some heretic groups have even claimed that John Milton was some sort of a prophet, which I'm actually going to do a separate video on this topic. Now sit back and relax as I explain the different layers of the underworld and how they represent the different planets. The first layer is the Inferno, which is also Limbo, which is said to be a lot like Earth, except you're aware that you will be trapped in that state for all of eternity. This is what I believe most people who die without belief in Jesus Christ may go. So I pretty much believe this represents the underworld of Earth. I don't believe this will be a place where humans are cruelly tortured by fallen angels, but a common resting place. The next level, Lust. Those in this level experience an eternal unresting wind, in which they are constantly tossed around and carried away by it. This wind is completely ceaseless, in the same way they let their lusts and passions control them. I believe this state of hell is Jupiter, because like Jupiter, it has an eternal unresting storm that constantly blazes on the planet, in addition to its large red spot being a storm that has been blazing unceasingly for the last 150 years and ongoing. Its massive size represents the want for love, and that it's the most largest, most violent, and most uncontrollable desire that all of humanity has. The third level, Gluttony. This is a hell of eternal falling of rain, sleet, snow, and hail. And this constant ice storm violently devastate the bodies of those who are here, but unable to die. So the people here are unrecognizable. I believe this represents Uranus.
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man?
Yes, that one. For a fact, did you know it rains glass sideways in Uranus? Bet you didn't know that. Some people prefer to call it Uranus, but, you know, I'm different. Did you know it's actually the coldest planet, measured at negative 222 degrees Celsius? It's the only one known as an ice giant, and is made up of a thick atmosphere of methane, hydrogen, and helium. Its composition is mostly made of ices, making the weather completely devastating for anything that would happen to be on that planet. The next level is Greed. In this level, people are made to beat each other with money bags full of diamonds, and the people in this level are so badly beaten and so filled with anger and frustration that the citizens of this hell are also completely unrecognizable. And I believe this place represents Neptune. Did you know it rains diamonds sideways in Neptune? Also, I lied before. Neptune is also another ice giant, and is known as the planet that is the furthest from the sun. It does have the longest orbital period and also has an incredibly cold atmosphere. Neptune is one of the most beautiful jewels in the solar system, making it almost like a sapphire in a kind of way. The next level is Wrath. This is a hell of those who are filled with wrath. They constantly beat each other and try to force each other under a sea of mud, and around this mud you can see constant bubbling at the surface. And this is from those who sunk to the very bottom, yet their anger and wrath has not subsided, but only continued for all of eternity. This is also a hell that houses the river Styx, which is ridden by Charon the boatman, which takes souls to the underworld. I believe this layer is Mars, because of the red tint of its surface. It seems like it's almost stained with the blood of violence that's so seeped into its rock, making it look like a blood-covered planet. There's evidence that Mars once held water, much like Earth, in lakes, rivers, and oceans. It's possible that these bodies of water even held life, honestly explaining the appearance of the river Styx here, a mysterious river that appears in the underworld that carries souls to Hades. Next level, Heresy. The ones in this layer are people laid on stones that look like tombs and are being stoked with flames on and off, with fallen angels tormenting them and taunting them. I believe this place is Mercury. Mercury is the closest planet to the sun, and despite being the closest planet to the sun, it is extremely cold at night and is insanely hot during the day. So make of that what you will. The next level is Violence. This hell has 3 rings. The outer ring for violence against others, which has the river Phlegethon, which is made of boiling blood. The middle ring of violence against the self is like a forest filled with dead trees and harpies. When Dante pulls a branch from the tree, he begins screaming and crying. And the inner ring of violence, for violence against God. This level has the most screaming. There's a sand pit full of naked people with fire falling on sand, cooking these people alive, boiling their flesh and leaving them in eternal torment. This level is obviously Saturn because of the rings and everything. I'm sure you knew where this is going. Next level, fraud. Now, there's gonna be a lot going on here, but this level of hell is actually Venus, and I'm gonna explain why. So, there are these 10 trenches called boljas. The first bolja is for those who betray love. There is an example of a man who sold his own sister to a deplorable and lustful man. These sinners are made to run from one side of the trench to the other, but if they're too slow, fallen angels will whip them. The second is for those who are deceptive. They are thrown into a giant pitfall of excrement because they spoke bullshit, and they will get bullshit. Third level is demoniacs. Those who try to make money by selling spiritual good to the lost sheep of Christianity. The ground of the bolja is on fire, and coal randomly shoots up. The only way to escape is a small hole in the ground, which you still have a chance of being hit by these flying chunks of coal. This is a punishment most fitting for those who use Christianity as a front to increase their wealth. Fourth is for sorcerers, seers, and witches. Their heads are twisted backwards by fallen angels for all eternity. The fifth is for bearders, those who accepted money for political bribes or corruption. They reside in a pot of boiling tar, with devils keeping them in there forcefully with pitchforks. The sixth layer is for hypocrites. Those here are forced to wear robes that appear beautiful from the outside, but are incredibly hideous on the inside and extremely heavy. They're forced to walk with them for all of eternity. There also happens to be randomly a crucified Caiaphas, the high priest who ordered the death of Jesus. He is constantly stepped on by the people with these incredibly heavy robes. The seventh layer is for thieves. Those who are here are terrorized by a gigantic snake-like creature whose bite can turn one to ash. When one is turned into ash, they have to rebuild their body, and if they're turned to ash again, they have to do the same process. The eighth bolja is for evil leaders and counselors. There's a huge area of small fires that resemble fireflies. Their bodies are in a constant state of flames for those who led others to death. The ninth is for swords of discord. There's a field or sea that looks like every single kind of battle in history took place there. Those who are here are constantly ripped to shreds and tossed into the field, while their bodies have to try to regenerate. Dante believes that the Prophet of Islam, Muhammad, resides here because of his constant warring and killing of innocents. And here, the final and 10th bolja are for falsifiers. Dante had to cover his ears from the shrieking that he heard here. These are screams from those who have been affected by pestilences that are far beyond those that are on Earth. The horrible things going on here make me imagine that these people are just living in a hell-like world, a lot like Venus. And it makes me think that the universe may have a far larger purpose than we originally planned. But this is not the final layer of hell. There's still one more. One in which the devil lives. Now, the final layer of hell. Treason. Those stuck in this hell face an eternal frozen lake. The center of this lake, which houses the devil himself. The devil is also housed in this lake, and he appears to have 3 faces, 2 of which appears to have 2 people in their maws. One with the Judas, the betrayer of Jesus, in his mouth, and the other face with Brutus, the betrayer of Julius Caesar, because Dante was actually a big fan of Julius Caesar for some reason, and he appears to be chewing on them. This level represents the farthest from the Son of God, Pluto, a dark cold crystal that lies in the darkness of space that may house the souls of the worst, unable to die in this hell, but are frozen eternally. This has made the planet completely unescapable, and the devil sealed in his prison. Thank you so much if you've actually watched this far into the video. If you enjoy my narration, please consider leaving a like and subscribe. Now, this was simply a video for fun. If you've read Dante's Inferno, you can find a lot of my ideas very interesting. I thought this could be a wonderful thought experiment, something I've been actually thinking about for a while. So if you enjoyed this kind of content, then stay tuned on the King Prince channel.